Saving the football pyramid and the grassroots game. It is only when a broken system becomes unmanageable and external factors that are out of the scope of control exposes the system for what it is. We have seen this pattern repeated time and time again in politics, business, and now football. Former EFA Chairman David Bernstein, ex-EFA Executive Director David Davies, Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham, among others, have signed a Manifesto for Change. The Manifesto for Change key recommendations. 1. Create a new regulator body for football that is independent of the current structure of the game. 2. Decide on new ways of distributing funds to the wider game based on a funding formula and fair levy payable by the Premier League. 3. Set up a new and comprehensive licensing system for the professional game. 4. Review causes of financial stress in the English Football League, including parachute payments and salary caps. 5. Implement governance reforms at the EFA which are essential to ensure it is truly independent, diverse, and representative of English football today. 6. Liaise with supporters' organizations. 7. Learn lessons from abroad and champion supporter involvement in the running of clubs. Politics and sport. Again, the COVID pandemic has been the catalyst for key people in the world of football to voice a stronger opinion. Be it Marcus Rashford about the inequality for working-class families, to clubs supporting food banks and providing mental health services in the community. All of which should not be needed from clubs, but because of a lack of government leadership and underfunding, the challenge has been taken up by football clubs to help support the shortfall in government and support local communities. From a wider perspective, we have also seen sports people taking a knee, demonstrating that overall inequality in society and our political system is falling short of the mark. So questions of inequality in our everyday lives are becoming more prevalent as time goes on, as we live with COVID and its ramifications, which has also exposed football to structural shortcomings, as key people in football point out that there is enough money in the game to be able to have an elite Premier League and a sustainable and competitive EFL. Money passed down to non-league and grassroots clubs, giving fans a fair deal, should in practice be achievable. Premier League football clubs revenue in England 2014/15 2020/21 by stream. The majority of Premier League revenue is generated through broadcasting fees, bringing in approximately £3 billion during the 2018/19 season. The remainder is generated through commercial and sponsorship deals with approximately £1.4 billion, followed by matchday revenue with £683 million pre-COVID. However, if and when that changes, this matchday revenue stream is still viable. Higher transfers. Over the last decade, the total transfer fees of clubs in the Premier League have more than quadrupled. In 2018, they amounted to approximately €2.1 billion. The majority of revenue comes from broadcasting, which generated close to €3 billion during the 2018/19 season. Matchday revenues accounted for roughly €1.38 billion. Rescue package. The Premier League announced plans for a rescue package for League One and League Two clubs, consisting of grants and interest-free loans totaling a further £50 million on top of the £27.2 million solidarity payments already advanced. But the question remains, what happens when football returns to normal? Clubs will have a debt which only adds to the overall issue of compounding smaller clubs' problems long-term. Most clubs fighting to get into the Premier League often leverage the club to make it. It seems the Premier League rescue package is only kicking the can down the road, and smaller clubs will become debt-restricted in the long term. Short-term solutions hardly ever solve the deep-rooted structural issues, and given the current situation in general, the rescue package is viewed by some to be akin to the little Dutch boy who put his finger in a dike. However, when a dike is about to break, a finger just does not cut it. So the question is, will the Premier League suffer from a fair redistribution of wealth? It is the FA's responsibility to ensure governing and regulating. It plays a vital role in English football and league structure, at elite level and the rest of the football pyramid and the grassroots game. It is the FA's responsibility to work together to determine what is best for our game as a whole, with full dialogue between all key stakeholders. Aggregate revenues of top division football clubs in Europe in 2018 by country. This statistic displays the aggregate revenues of football leagues in Europe in 2018 by country. In 2018, the top division football clubs in Germany earned a total of approximately €3.2 billion in revenue. Clearly a percentage to fully support the lower leagues, which will not load them with additional debt obligations, and it would not make that much of an impact on the overall performance of the Premier League. The fact is, changes have to be done in a sustainable way and for the long term to ensure football remains the sport of the people for the people and the important grassroots and community cohesion which that entails. Solution for football: the people's game. For the last 40-plus years, the UK has embraced neoliberal economics, which has seen the wealth of the rich rocket. This trend is also reflected in our everyday lives and also in football. Like all things in life, it's all about a balance that is sustainable and fully connected to our external environment. A fact which on the face of it has been forgotten as gaps grow in and outside of football, which has been unmasked in part by the COVID pandemic. Neoliberal economics cannot abide regulations, a fact which was apparent in the 2008 global economic meltdown. Some say that to introduce an independent regulator is the only way out of the current crisis. This will be very challenging and may never see the light of day. So to suggest that the balance of power in English football is out of kilter will be viewed as a radical statement by some. However, for any sort of change management process to succeed, you have to have people fully on board. It needs to be inclusive and democratic, and a vision needs to be clear for everyone to enable them to become change champions. Football has a big job on their hands, especially now with COVID magnifying inequality in football. However, the FA has been criticized for a long time now about its perspective on football and for being resistant to change. So if a new regulatory body was set up, the same questions of 1. What precise powers should be given to the new body? 2. Who would appoint the members of such a body? 3. What should be the size and resources of the new regulator? 4. To whom will the regulator be accountable? On the face of it, the need for change is gathering momentum. A survey of English football fans which found that a radical change in governance was needed, and 78% believed the English club model was unsustainable without change. To conclude, Thomas Piketty is quoted as saying, "You need some inequality to grow, but extreme inequality is not only useless but can be harmful to growth because it reduces mobility and can lead to political capture of our democratic institutions." But as we know, all inequality causes problems by creating fissures in societies, leaving those at the bottom feeling marginalized or disenfranchised. This struggle at some point needs a fair and balanced solution. In effect, a true mixed economic solution which respects the club's fans and brands in a way that leaves everyone feeling included and part of an inclusive society which can overcome these times of challenge. So the suggestion for stronger governance and regulation to rebalance inequality in football's wide-ranging issues would have to have a very detailed and strong strategic plan if it is to gain any credence. However, the key question remains: who is willing to let the power reins of football loose to enable change? And who will drive change to ensure football remains accessible to all fans and lower-level clubs who, like all football clubs up and down the country, play an important part in communities?